I don't even know where to begin except for hello and welcome to the Pitchy podcast. I am so excited to talk about today, but we're your hosts, James
and Stephanie.
Here on the Pitchy podcast, we are passionate about good music and a great vocal. We'll use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give you our take on each contestant. We'll give you our feedback of their voice and the overall performance. Here on the Pitchy podcast, I know, right? We'll keep it 100 with our feedback and critiques of each contestant's vocal and overall performance. But what we're never here to do is come for anyone's character or any contestant as a human being. Now, we may come off a little pitchy at times, if you know what I mean, but we'll always do our best to speak our truths with love, kindness, and respect.
That's right.
Find out what it means to me and Stephanie.
And me.
With that, let's go ahead and get started. As you all can see, I've been talking about this for so long.
Yes.
This is my favorite part. I'm getting chills.
Yes.
It's my favorite part of The Voice. Stephanie knows I've been waiting patiently.
Yes.
For us to get to the battles.
Semi-patiently.
Just a little bit. But I think Stephanie does share my excitement on how incredible the potential of how incredible the battles can be. And
yes.
Without giving too much away, which we're about to get into in great detail, the battles lived up to all of my hype.
They did not disappoint.
Never. They never do.
Mm-hmm.
So much so, I was telling Stephanie offline, I said, you know what, Stephanie, you done created a monster because the battles were, in my opinion, so incredible. I had to actually take copious notes. And I'm learning from Stephanie, you know what? If you don't want it to leave your noggin, you better write it down. Listen,
that is that 40 talk, and I cannot just keep it in my brain and expect for it to come out once we sit here and record. And like you said, there were so many great performances last night in particular that I did not want to miss a thing. So had to have my notes.
Can't miss it. So without further ado, we got a lot to discuss, Stephanie. So let's just jump right in it. So
sure.
Who do we have first?
First up was Tasha Jessen versus E.J. Michaels, and they sang Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Doo-wop. Yes.
I'm doing the Motown step touch. Now, y'all can't see Stephanie and I doing it, but we're doing the step touch.
Oh, yes, they can. We're on YouTube now.
That's right.
They can see our shoulders.
But you can't see our feet, right?
No, you can't see our feet. I wasn't doing my
feet. This song has a very sentimental meaning to me because it was one of my mom's favorite songs growing up.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And my mom she loved the song so much that she added a lyric to it. And I always forget what it is, but there's a thing or two is the lyric. And then my mom would always add or 3 or 4 or 5 or I don't know, some corny part of the song before they get to the chorus. It's something in the verse. Mm-hmm. But I was so excited to hear Tracks of My Tears because Motown, here's the thing, if you are not familiar with Motown music, you better be familiar with Motown music. Motown is the fabric of America, everyone who listens. And the greatest thing about Motown, other than it was a completely new sound, the greatest thing about Motown today, some 60 plus years later, is the songs were written so beautifully that they can be morphed into really any genre and work. Yeah. So I was very excited to see Blake choose, I think the coaches choose the songs during the battles, but to see him choose a song, because I was like, is he going to give it a country feel? And to me, Stephanie, I don't know about you, but to me, I felt like this had a little bit of a country feel to it.
A little bit, yeah.
This version of the song. And right off the bat, something I noticed about EJ that I loved, which was not a far cry, but different than what EJ presented with his blinds when he did the Adele.
Yeah.
Was EJ's control. Mm-hmm. He has so much control over his lower register. Everyone knows that EJ can sing in the stratosphere, mm-hmm. which is kind of his shtick, right? Kind of his I don't want to call it a gimmick, but kind of his thing is what he's kind of known for, right?
Right.
But I thought he opened the song beautifully controlled, mm-hmm. Nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
And I felt like he was giving me a little country mm-hmm. in his sound. And maybe it was just the sound of the arrangement. Mm-hmm. But I loved what EJ did at the beginning of the song. And then I wrote in my notes, I have my notes right in front of me. I said, "Sang, Tasha."
Yeah.
And we might have to translate, y'all. When we say sang, it doesn't mean sing, right? She's already singing. But when we say sang, S-A-N-G, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, it means they, and I'll Stephanie put this in the translations, it means that they are singing very well. Okay?
Very well.
Why am I looking at the mic? Should be looking at the camera. I'm like looking at the mic as I'm saying that. It means that they are singing very well.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes from the church. From the African American church, the history of the African American church. When somebody is singing a song and someone is singing really well, some people there'll usually be a call and response, and people mm-hmm. will say, "Sing the song!"
Yeah.
And I thought Tasha was singing. Here's the thing that I noticed about Tasha, Stephanie, that mm-hmm. I thought was so cool. Mm-hmm. And you don't hear many singers who do this. In fact, I don't know any singers that do this. Tasha, I listened very closely to this, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. Tasha changes genres in a vocal line. I heard country to soul in one line.
Okay.
Like, because I heard the kind of the yodel, the country yodel in her voice a bit. Yes. And then she ended it with like a soulful, slowed down vibrato. Yeah. Like the waver in her voice. And I talked about this on an earlier podcast, what vibrato means. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, did she just do that in one vocal line?
Yeah.
I said, whoa. Mm-hmm. I'm going to call you, Tasha, the genre shapeshifter. And that's crazy. That's crazy to me, young lady, because I've never heard anyone go from one genre to the next, even though we've talked about on previous podcasts how close soul and R&B and country and all those music genres kind of are. Mm-hmm. But you could hear, and in my opinion, I forget what line it was. I should have written down the line that she did it. And it was like this country twang yodel and like she slowed her vibrato down. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. I was like, ooh, I'm stealing that from you, Tasha. I love it. I love it. It made your sound just so unique and so interesting. And you have such an incredible gift.
Yeah.
If I have one critique, it's a very small critique about this song, because this song's a lot harder than it appears to be.
Come on.
And I would say,
it really
be careful with the modulation. And for those of you that do not know what a modulation is, it's when the song migrates from one key into another. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times modulations are done very smoothly.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Stephanie about this earlier. I was like, the thing about a modulation that makes it so tricky for singers, see, instrumentalists love modulations because they're like, it challenges them musically. Mm-hmm. Is it exactly why instrumentalists love it? That it challenges singers musically mm-hmm. and melodically, that you got to know where you're going. You got to know where you are and where you're going, and know mm-hmm. that, do I have a strong enough voice in the new key mm-hmm. as I did? Because mm-hmm. modulations are usually done for dramatic emphasis.
Yes.
And to bring some sort of climax to a song.
Yes.
And I felt that EJ was struggling a little bit in the modulation. Mm-hmm. I felt Tasha helped him out a lot. So that was that would be, and it's so small. It's so small. It's not that he did not sing it. It's not that EJ, you did not sing it. and sing it beautifully. I just felt like there was a little bit of a struggle in that shift, in that key change.
Right.
One thing I did notice, Tasha's harmonies up there, Stephanie.
Yes.
I put nice harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
And EJ, I just felt like it was a little pushed because I'm thinking back to your Adele audition and where your top was just, I was jealous. I was like,
right.
Gosh, it's just effortless. I felt like last night was a little, it was a little pushed up there, and you have such a glorious top, EJ. You don't have to give any more. You don't have to give any more than what you already give because it's already incredible.
Right.
I wrote that with Tasha, you can't deny her voice. It is so unique. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to kind of the genre shapeshifter I think she is with her voice.
Yes.
So I loved it. Stephanie, we didn't talk about this, but can we talk about who, when we get done discussing, can we talk about who we would have chosen for the battle?
Oh, God.
She wasn't prepared for this, you all. She wasn't. But I just thought about this before we got on. I said, I had no problem. I had no problem saying who I would have chosen.
Okay.
But if you don't want to talk about Stephanie, we don't have to talk about it.
Oh.
But I would like to say who I would pick.
Okay.
That's just me.
I'll make a battle by battle decision. And I might have multiple steals and multiple playoff passes. Stephanie might fuss me out, y'all, when we get off this podcast. I won't.
You blindsided me on this one, but I am always excited to hear Stephanie because I cherish your opinion so much, and Stephanie and I have not discussed this actually who we would have chosen. Right. I mean, I have a feeling I know who Stephanie would have chosen, but I kind of want to hear it from her. And I kind of want to tell her because I also like it when we don't agree, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we don't necessarily agree, but that's just me. I'm sorry, Stephanie. I digress. Tell us what you thought of EJ and Tasha.
Before I say that, I will say that if I am sniffing, or if you see me taking multiple sips from my tea right here, it is because my allergies are acting a fool right now. So
Mid-Atlantic State's allergy season is in full effect, y'all.
Full effect.
Why do I keep looking at this mic, Stephanie?
I don't know. You look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Yes. So if I sound a little nasally, I apologize. I feel like I sound like a 90s R&B singer right now.
I can't with you. What I need from you
is that's what I'm feeling right now. Exactly. I'm feeling like that. Okay, to our first battle. So EJ out the gate, I was just like, wow, what a solid foundation he laid for that song. His, like you were saying, his lows were really strong, as well as his full voice higher tones or higher notes in that verse that he sang. I was like, wow, so solid. Tasha came in with a harmony before she sang by herself with EJ. When she came in to join EJ on that harmony, that was really beautiful. But then when she sang the second verse on her own, I was just like, wow. What cool melodic choices that she was making. Her voice her full voice in that higher range, and her voice sounded really amazing as well. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if I had remembered her full range from
it's been a while, right?
Yeah, from her audition. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, Tasha was one that she came in early, and she's one that we had our eye on.
Right. And I think that what you were talking about with the genre shifting is what I couldn't put my finger on that was really unique about some of the things that she was doing within her solo parts. I do agree that once we got to the modulation, there were some pitch issues happening, and I think I might know why, because EJ is really, really strong in that upper part of his range. Now, this is really interesting for me because I am very much a performance person along with the vocal. Like, I feel like if you are on the stage, you need to be moving or expressing using your body in some sort of way to match what you are singing. What I felt like just a bit is that EJ was, I don't want to say overperforming, but his level of energy was more than Tasha's level of energy. And they were both giving good energy, but I just feel like EJ's energy was a little bit more. And when you do that, sometimes you might not be aware of your breath support as much. And I think, and where a lot of that was happening was going into that modulation.
Yeah.
So when you got there might have been a little bit of lack of breath support because of all the energy. And, you know, again, big stage, exciting, you know, all those things that you might not, you may not account for as much being in the moment. How exciting and how much breath you really need to trust your breath support on some of those things. So I think that might have been what we might have heard in those pitch issues and that modulation. Overall, incredible performance. Like, what a way to start off the night. And by the time they got to the end, I was like, ooh, somebody's Blake's got to pick somebody. I almost forgot that portion. Like, he's got to pick somebody. It's like, well, he could go for Tasha for this reason. He could go for EJ for this reason. Like, who's he going to pick? So
who did he pick, Stephanie?
He picked Tasha.
He sure did.
He picked Tasha.
Sure did. Blake, I think Blake even said, like, Tasha could go all the way. Like, he sees Tasha because I think he is enamored by her voice. Like, I truly think Blake just thinks that Tasha's like, she's just next level. And she is. She definitely is. Absolutely. But what happened?
This was not the end for EJ. So Niall ended up stealing EJ, which was an awesome pickup for him. It was a battle. It was between Niall and Coach Chance. And it was interesting because Chance kept bringing up the fact that during the auditions, Chance turned for EJ when Niall did not. Yet EJ still chose to go with Coach Niall for his steal.
Interesting, EJ. I would love to pick your brain. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to you. I'd love to pick your brain and see why you chose Niall.
Right.
That's just I'm just very interested to see. That's a very, I think you and Niall will work well together. I think Niall, musically, Niall is probably like the collaboration of song choice, which we all know is so important. I personally would have thought would work well with either of them.
Absolutely. Me too.
But Niall brings that kind of youthful exuberance to things that he does. And we'll talk about some of that a little bit later. Right. Because,
All right, James. So, who would you have chosen?
You want me to go first?
I definitely want you to go first.
Oh, Tasha. I would have definitely chosen Tasha because I think that for the same reasons why Blake chose Tasha, I think that Tasha, the voice can't be like, it's gotta progress in this show. It's got to go to the later rounds because I want to hear again Tasha by herself and see what she's going to do. Because she's one of those singers to me that makes melodic choices that singers that like it won't be a run in the mill. It'll never be a run in the mill version of a song. Right.
So I would have chose Tasha too for a lot of the same reasons. I would have wanted to hear more of her voice. It's such a unique instrument, and I would have wanted to hear more from her.
I was talking to Stephanie, and Tasha talked about some of the struggles that she had, that she and her husband, I don't know if they were like physically separated.
I think that's what it was.
She said due to immigration. So she had to actually physically be apart from her husband. So I heard the struggle in her voice.
Yeah.
Like I heard that, Tasha's been through stuff, right?
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about that in her audition, that we could hear some of that struggle and what she's been through in her voice.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. So who is next, Stephanie?
The next battle was between Mariah Kalia and Jamar Langley, and they sang Gravity by John Mayer.
So Mariah and Jamar, if you watch the Pitchy podcast, all I'm going to say is my friend Stephanie here was literally singing this song right before we got on the Pitchy podcast.
Yes,
she is a huge fan of this song. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let her a little bit later explain how she felt about this performance. So I'm just going to go right in. Mm-hmm. Jamar, you're the first person I gotta speak on. The first note I have is Mayer is fantastic for your voice.
Oh, yeah.
John Mayer songs.
Yeah.
Dude, like I had no idea. And if I'm being completely 100, Jamar, like I didn't think that you had this type of performance in you. Mm-hmm. And this was more than pleasantly surprised. Jamar, I thought I was witnessing an artist coming back and doing a special live shot on a show called The Voice, meaning you're an artist who's been around for 30 years.
Right.
And like a new album was about to drop, and you were doing this single from the album, and it was going to be this fire single that everybody was going to go out and buy because it was that special of a performance. Mm-hmm. And dude, your guitar playing, that's a John Mayer song. John Mayer, as if you all do not know who John Mayer is, he's considered a guitar virtuoso.
Yeah.
And you weren't just playing, I was talking to Stephanie earlier, I was like, he just wasn't playing chords, block chords, No, he was playing. Mm-hmm. And I think all the judges were shocked, and I think his judge, I keep saying judges, his coach, Chance, was blown away that you were like, it was almost as if it was so humble. It seemed as if you were like, oh, I play the guitar too.
Yeah.
Like, because he was like, I had no idea. And then you picked up the guitar and you literally made your guitar sing.
Yes.
And it was so incredible of a performance. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Mariah and how special this young lady's voice is. And I love how they brought out the age difference. Jamar and Mariah are 20 years apart in age.
Yeah.
So on paper, you might get a little scared to say, how is a 17-year-old and a 37-year-old gonna duet well together? It was
a clinic.
It was a clinic. I wrote about Mariah. Mariah, the scary thing about her voice, it is a youthful exuberance, maturely executed. Marinate on that, Pitchies.
Oh, you might need to say that again.
It was Mariah has a youthful exuberance that is maturely executed. Just think about that for a second.
I love that.
Thank you, Lord. That came to me last night. Youthful exuberance that was maturely executed. There was a youthfulness. There is. I mean, she's 17, but it wasn't like a kid singing Annie, for example. Right. It wasn't youthful exuberance. Someone might interpret as like somebody like singing and someone will come out tomorrow belting that out the top of their lungs. But it was done with such maturity
Yeah.
that I was like, I need to figure out a way to describe this young lady's voice because it was, wow. There was youthfulness and maturity fused into one. So
For sure.
it was crazy.
For
it was
sure.
crazy. And I'm just like, wow, she's 17. 17.
Yeah.
And you know what I loved about her voice, and Kelly Clarkson always says it, if you're going to do a whistle, you better do the whistle right. I loved her whistle tone.
Oh, yeah.
She did. This was, in my opinion, our first dirty knife fight.
Uh-oh, tell them what it means.
This was our first dirty knife fight. And that means that two people have come to a battle and that the singing is executed so well that somebody's going to either walk away mortally wounded or not living. Somebody is going to, meaning they both pulled out their knives and they were going for blood.
Yeah, they both came. Yeah, they did not come to play. They came to slay.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know, that might sound violent because it does, but we mean that with the utmost respect.
Yes.
And with the utmost appreciation of each of their vocal, because they both, I think what it comes down to is that they both came giving excellence and giving their best.
Everything.
But in this case, it is a battle. So they are fighting for their position. They're singing lives on the show.
Correct.
So they each came equipped to give their best in this battle.
And you can't ask for anything more.
That's right.
You can't ask for anything more. I said, I wrote down, like, I put fire emoji. I put Stephanie, that was stank, rotten bananas. I said, like, and I wrote that down when Jamar said, down. I said, ooh.
I was in my living room hollering.
He said, down.
Down. No.
Because I'm having allergy issues too. But
down. I said yes. I said yes, sir.
That was stank, rotten bananas.
Yes.
It wasn't just bananas. It was stank, rotten bananas.
That's right.
Because I was like, yo, Jamar, we're not worthy. We're not worthy, dude.
Right.
We're not worthy.
Right.
That was crazy.
Right.
Stephanie.
I don't have too much to add because everything that you brought up is in some shape or form what I wrote down. I love the tone to Jamar's voice. There's like this old school feel to it without it sounding old. It sounds, it's just cool. It's just such a cool quality and tone to his voice.
I'm trying to think. Is it Sam Cooke? Did you
Maybe
hear Sam Cooke in his
voice? It's like, very Motown-y, very
not Otis Redding sounding, but
but just
genre.
that genre era of voice, but he translated it so well in this song to make it not sound old, if that makes sense. It's just cool. It's just cool. I wrote down the down because I was just like, brother, you better sing. You better sing this song.
When Stephanie posts this, you all watch that back. Watch his performance back and just listen to what he does when he goes down.
Yeah, it was insane. He just looked so comfortable on the stage. He looked like he'd been doing it for years upon years upon years. And I think Niall even said as much, that he just seemed really comfortable on the stage. Mariah, oh my word. It's a tall order to be able to hang with another artist who has that much experience and who is that as good as Jamar. And you hung, girlfriend. Like you were hanging with him pound for pound. The melodic choices that you were making were insane.
Maturely executed.
Yes, there was a brightness, which is what you were talking about. I wrote it as a brightness to her voice that gave the song a little bit of a, not lightness, but just that youthfulness to it.
Yes.
And I loved the way that they were kind of playing off of each other, like how it became a true duet, how they were kind of going back and forth with each other,
It's like
vocally.
volleying. It's like vocal volley, right?
Yes. The one thing that I love about these battles, well, not the one thing that I love about these battles is seeing how these partnerships end, seeing the end result. And by the end result, you can get a good feel as to what the process was. And their process just seemed lovely.
Yeah.
It seemed kind of like big bro, little sis. And I was going through the Instagram, watching, looking at what different folks were posting from last night who performed or whose performances were aired last night. And Jamar said something to Mariah that really touched me. And he said, this is just part of the quote, but he basically was telling her, like, this is a for life thing. Like, they really made a connection. And you could tell as they were singing that they were really, came together as a unit.
Age difference, Stephanie, it could be almost father-daughter.
Yeah.
They're 20 years apart.
Yeah.
In age.
Yes.
And that, like you said, there was a true connection.
Absolutely. It was amazing. It was amazing.
So this one was hard because someone had to get chosen.
Yeah.
So who did they go with, Stephanie?
They went with Jamar.
Yeah, I mean...
Chance. We should specify. Coach right. Chance went with Jamar.
Right.
Yes.
Jamar was just... There was one thing... I love about one of the best things I love about this show that to me doesn't happen too often on this show is when a singer elevates their own level.
Right.
A lot of singers come in, even the best singers, they'll come in and they'll be consistent, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Everyone likes somebody who's fighting for a position.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Jamar may have felt like he wasn't one of the favorites early. I just felt like Jamar is now one of the favorites because he elevated his performance with the vocal, with the guitar playing, which elevated Mariah's performance. And it was just, Jamar. But I was really sad to see Mariah not make it through.
Yes, I was as well.
Because here's another very unique talent.
But
Absolutely. I think we agree. We both would have probably picked Jamar to win that battle.
Yes, if we had to choose.
Yeah. If we
had to.
Okay, so who do we have next?
Next up was from Team Nile. It was Gina Miles and Kala Banham, and they sang Skinny Love, and they sang the Birdie version. It was originally done by Bon Iver.
Bon Iver, yeah. Now, this is the one, Stephanie, that I had to go back to a bunch.
Had to put in those good ears,
I had to put in those good ears for this one and go back to it a bunch because there were so many things that were happening that it's like, this is the one I had to write a small dissertation for because there were so many things that Gina and Kala were doing individually. And collectively. But I narrowed my notes down.
Okay. Good.
Stephanie asked me, did I write a small dissertation? I said, yeah, but I've narrowed my notes down to some of my favorite things. The first thing I wrote down is I love Gina's speaking voice. I said, Gina, she's 18, y'all. Gina could do voiceovers like one of the other contestants, Cait, who's a professional voiceover artist. I think Gina could do voiceovers. Like she has the coolest speaking voice.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because her speaking voice really doesn't translate to her singing voice.
Right.
In a good way. Her singing voice is completely different than her speaking voice. And I'm going to jump back and forth because there were so many things that were going on. So I'm going to jump all around here.
Okay.
I'm going to stay with Gina. I love the yodel. Gina, nobody does a yodel like Gina. I'm sorry. Gina's got the yodel on lockdown, y'all. She really does. It's masterful. It wasn't self-indulgent. It wasn't too much. It's a part of her voice. It's very 90s female progressive singers.
Yeah.
Like, Who's that? Who's that singer that sings that song? I can't think of the song, but maybe the lead
Was that a
singer-
song?
That was a that was a song. The song popped in my head, but that one part of the song, Gina. It's think of so many '90s female. I mean, Alanis, the lead singer of the Cranberries. Just so many singers that Natalie and Bruglia, just singers that Lisa Loeb. That I'm thinking of. I can just go on and on with these singers that it's like she has all of their voices in one. That's what makes Gina's voice so scary, y'all.
Yeah.
It's like all of these voices in one.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got Kala, y'all. You got Kala. Kala's voice is just another level, period.
It really is.
It's another level, period.
It really is.
I just can't describe it. There was a hauntingness to Kala's voice. And Gina, too.
Yeah.
But I think that was like Kala rubbing off on Gina because the whole performance was very haunting.
Yeah.
In a good way. It wasn't scary haunting.
No.
It was just very, I didn't even want to say ethereal. It was just
introspective.
Very introspective. Thank you. Very haunting, very introspective. Blake gave the best comment. I said, thank you, Blake, because I couldn't put it about Gina. He said, crackly weird things. I love the crackly weird things you do to your voice. And I was like, yes, Blake, that's exactly it.
Oh, she got that Rice Krispie voice.
Right. It's like a crack. It's like her yodel's like a crackle weird. It's just I can't.
So beautifully unique.
It is. But then I wrote this note about Kala. You're gonna appreciate this note. I said, you know what I love about Kala's voice? Kala went to the Anita Baker and Toni Braxton Diction School of Music.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I said, to the untrained ear, it may sound a little lazy.
No.
But the tone is so ridiculous that you forget that she's not enunciating like some people may prefer her to enunciate.
Right.
And it's such to me, in order, Sade has this gift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm naming like monsters of the industry, right?
Yeah.
Titans. That's how special Kala's voice is. That she can have that not crisp diction, but the tone is so ridiculous that you don't think about her not pronouncing words clearly.
No, and it's intent. Like, I feel like it's intentional on her part. Like, I feel like it's a beautiful choice that she's making.
Toni Braxton said, Babyface used to tell her, give me a sound like you got water in your mouth. You got marbles in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, first thing Monday morning. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to pack my tears away.
Why?
Oh, yeah. No. But anyway, Kala has that type of voice. Mm-hmm. It's the Anita Baker, Toni Braxton, Sade School of Diction.
Come on. Yeah.
And that was the big note I had for them. Both brought such emotion to the performance. It was very emotional. It was very, like you said, introspectively emotional. And this was a scary battle.
It was
scary. Why do I keep looking at this mic? I'm like talking to the mic like, you, Mike. No, it was a scary battle, y'all. That's why I had to keep going back and listening to it. And that's why I had to come up with the word haunting, because it was so scary. It was that good. It was that good of a battle. I thought Kala was going to be one of those singers this season, because there's a few other singers that I feel this way about that we're going to talk about today. I thought Kala was going to be one of those singers that if you went up against her, you had no chance.
Yeah, I did too.
But Gina?
She showed up. Gina showed up. Gina said, don't let that audition fool you. I was a little nervous, but I shook them nerves right on off.
She did. And Stephanie, I think you had mentioned, or I don't know, it may have been you or it may have been a coach on the show that said her doing a duet probably helped her with her nerves.
Yeah, that was me.
That you, Steph? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, to see a calm Gina sing is a scary Gina sing.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's my whole take. I could go on and on because there were so many little things, little nuances. This was a very nuanced performance as well.
Yeah.
That both of them did. That I could talk all day, but I just had to get that note in about the perceived lazy diction that Kala had, and Gina did it too. Like, I thought again, it was very symbiotic. This performance was them helping each other out.
Yeah. Wow. For Gina. Gina has this really cool tone, as we've been talking about, and it reminded me of Shakira, but an almost even better version of Shakira.
Yeah.
Just that cool, those crinkles in her voice and in her tone that just give it this really cool texture. It's like an overlay. It's like Gina has a voice, and then there's like this crinkle overlay that is just so uniquely her. And I don't know anybody else other than a Shakira that could pull it off. Gina's tone also is so rich. It gave like this richness to the song, which, and let me be clear, I have no idea what the song is about. Like, I've
never heard the song before.
No clue. And the way that both of their performances and their performance together made me emotional. It's like, I need to look up the lyrics to this song to see what what they were talking about, because their delivery was just so emotional. Just like you, I called them the tossed ends of the lines that Gina was doing, those yodels. They were so precise. Like, I don't even know if you can do a yodel precise, but they were executed so beautifully that I know that's
surgeon. She's a vocal surgeon.
I know that's her voice doing that. I know that she's not just pulling tricks out of the bag and seeing if something works. That's her. Kala. I love what you said about Kala. I felt like Kala was really trusting the mic to do what the mic is supposed to do in order for us to hear what she wanted to deliver. And there was one moment in the song, and I forget what she said, but Kelly was like, "Whoo," and I felt the same way. Just like there was like this, whatever, I can't even think of the word, but just the way there was like some breathiness behind
a force.
Yeah, it was like a force, and I was just like, "Whoa." So that was really cool. She just has this beautiful presence on the stage, and this security and this confidence, this quiet confidence on the stage that she really, I just really believe that she knows exactly what she's doing up there. And I don't know if that's just natural gift. I don't know if that's a ton of practice. I don't know if that's a combo. But I really believe that this combination of the two of them really helped each other. They were a beautiful pairing, but I really believe that this really helped Gina. I'm really glad that they had this battle round after the auditions to kind of become an on-ramp into the rest of the competition, where Gina's going to have to sing on her own. So it was another step to build her confidence and her presence on stage. They were a beautiful unit together in an absolutely gorgeous song.
It was just, again, and we have 3. Like, we're not even halfway through, or we're just about halfway through.
Yeah.
And 3 back-to-back incredible performances. So I loved. Well, I have some words about how it went down as to who was chosen, because I think it was very strategic.
Yeah.
So who wound up winning the battle?
Gina.
Which I'm not surprised, because I think there was some strategy. You can't say these coaches don't talk.
Right.
Because let me tell you, I think Gina, I truly think that Gina needed to win the battle because ain't no way Kala was going home.
Right.
Ain't no way Kala was going home.
Yeah.
And Kala was quickly, and you see, here's the thing, and this is why, because Stephanie, tell everyone who Kala got picked up by.
Kelly.
And here's the thing, the reason why I think there was some strategy here, because they all should have been falling all over to get Kala, but no one pushed that button except Kelly. I think Kelly told them off camera, she's mine.
She's mine.
She's mine. And if you want to keep Gina in this competition, Kala is mine.
Yeah. And she said something in her comments that made me feel like she was going to steal. She said something to the effect in her comments like, neither one of you should go home or something like that. And I was like, well, you got to back that up once Niall picks who he's going to pick. And she sure enough did.
And Kelly Clarkson, you already had the nerve to, in my opinion, pound for pound, have the most stacked team this season.
I know.
And then you pick up Kala? Are you kidding me? Like, Kelly Clarkson's like the Justice League, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like the Marvel,
right? The Avengers or something. The Avengers,
like it's like unstoppable.
That's right.
Jeez,
that's right.
But
that's
I
right.
love that they're both still in this competition.
So happy about that. Absolutely.
This one's hard for me. I guess.
Listen,
Kala, I'm gonna throw. I literally made the decision just right then because I was back and forth with this Stephanie. Kala.
Listen, you the one that wanted to play this game. Okay, please remember that you wanted to play this game.
Kala, I made the decision just then because I could have gone either way. Truly, Kala.
Okay,
Stephanie.
I would have picked Kala as well, only because I think that I would have needed to see Gina alone to see if she could shake some of her stage present nerves alone.
Right.
But that's a hard decision because both of their voices are so absolutely incredible. I just feel like Kala might be a little bit more stage ready right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Stephanie. So who do we have next?
Next up was from Team Kelly. We have Allie Keck versus Cait Martin, and they sang It Must Have Been Love by Roxette.
Stephanie, we didn't know who Kelly's matchups were, did we?
I didn't know, but they, I feel like on Monday I saw some things saying where they had said on Instagram that they were battling each other. Now, I don't know if I missed it in the little YouTube clip that they put up where they were giving some of the spoilers. I must have missed it, but they announced it before Monday's show.
This was the battle I would have never predicted, but it's the one that I wanted.
Come on.
I would have never put these two voices together because they couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah.
But I trust Kelly Clarkson's ear to the end of this earth. So for her to put them together, I loved how they also showed, I'm going to digress for just a quick second. I love how they also showed the process of the coaches selecting who they were pairing. Like they sit down with the producers and literally are like, okay, this is what I want. This is what my vision is. And I love that. It's a testament to the coaches. So Kelly, so I was like, I would have never put Cait and Allie, which was an old 80s TV show. Stephanie, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a show in the 80s called Cait and Allie.
No.
Yes, which I thought was hilarious. An old sitcom on TV back in the day.
Okay.
I was like, why can't I see? There we go. It Must Have Been Love. I mean, you couldn't get more 80s with this song. This song was like 80s.
Right.
By Roxette. The first thing I wrote down was gorgeous unison opening. Right. You all have no idea how difficult it is to sing in a pure unison, especially when you have two voices that couldn't be more polar opposite.
Right.
It takes big ears. It takes some humility,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes constant adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
You have to adjust your tone,
Mm-hmm.
your breath, your vibrato,
Mm-hmm.
to give a perfect unison. And I thought they opened the song with a perfect unison because it sounded like one voice. That's how you know that you've gotten a perfect unison, because it sounded like one voice. And then the next thing I wrote was, I was like, okay, this is mature singing at its finest.
Yeah.
These are two mature, and I don't mean old mature, I mean seasoned vocalists.
Skilled. Yeah. Absolutely.
Skilled
Mm-hmm.
vocalists. I said, from start to finish, you are going to get a 100. This was in my opinion, our second Dirty Night fight.
For sure.
And then I wrote, Cait, what you do is just effortless.
Mm-hmm.
Effortless singing.
Mm-hmm.
She makes it look so easy.
Yes.
It makes me ill in a good way, Cait.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a fan of the show. So thanks for watching. It makes me ill, Cait, that you have incredible technique.
Yes.
Both of their, for different reasons, both of their over now, like Allie did it first, and she chose a note in the chord that I didn't expect, but it was so powerful.
Yeah.
She's like, over now. Like, it was like, yes. It was like,
yes. Like, yes.
And like, yes. I started leaning forward. Like,
yeah.
It was like a Celine power note, right?
Yes.
It was like, Allie is a grab you by your collar and pull you in.
Yeah.
And like Jennifer Holliday would say, you're gonna love me, right?
That's right.
That's the type of singer Allie is.
Yeah.
But then Cait's over now.
Yeah. Powerful.
It was just another level. I wrote this. I said, this wasn't a Dirty Night fight. This was a fight. No, excuse me. It was a Dirty Night fight. I said, and the scary thing, I wrote, Cait is a ninja. She's a ninja because the voice is like, it's like, right. Like she moves so fast and it's so effortless that you're like, what? Did somebody just cut me? Am I bleeding?
And she's got these gears where she could just level up. I'm thinking like Mortal Kombat or whatever. She just she can level up.
So I said, so if Cait's a ninja, Allie's a straight street fighter.
Okay. Yes.
Because Allie is like,
yes, she got the Vaseline. She got yes.
Like, straight street fighter. I have not. It's rare that you get on these shows a rocker like Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Allie's voice is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a controlled power.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not. Yeah. It's not
out of control.
I'm trying to pull my voice back in because it got a little ahead of me. It got a little away from me. No.
Right.
No, this goes back to my mature singing. It was so. She's a boxer.
Yeah.
I take that back. No. Street Fighter can be a little out of control. No.
Okay.
No, Allie is like, she's like Layla Ali, right? She's like Mike Tyson. She's like, like it's George Foreman. Like people said when George Foreman hit them, they were never right. like, cause he hits so hard. And that's what Allie does.
Yeah.
She hits you hard with her voice. You got to almost sit back in your chair because you're like, this woman's voice. And the crazy thing, did you notice what the manipulation Allie was doing with her vibrato?
For sure.
There were sometimes like, my wife like just happened to be walking by the room because she was busy doing something else. She's like, oh, she sounds like Stevie Nicks.
Mm.
But then there were other times like she slowed her vibrato down. And I was like, Allie, the vibrato manipulation, that's crazy.
Right.
Because people usually only have one vibrato.
Right.
And they do some type of manipulation. It comes off inauthentic. No, that's your voice.
Yeah.
That's your voice, because the lighter part of her voice, her vibrato speeds up and it's glorious.
Yeah.
But then when she sings with the full on diaphragmatic push of her sound out of her voice, it's tsunami.
Bananas. Yeah, tsunami.
I'll talk about that comment a little later, because we'll talk about when we talk about who went where. I put Allie's soft part of her voice is exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
It's exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
Cait, to Stephanie's point, she has another gear. Mm-hmm. I compare it to a Serena Williams. When Serena was down on the ropes, this is what made Serena the greatest of all time. When Serena was down on the ropes, she found this gear that no other tennis player was ever, and still, in my opinion, has never been able to find.
Yes.
And that's what Cait did. And Chance mentioned it, like the second half of the song.
Yes.
He said, you just went to, I don't even know what you did. Right. The second half of the song. Right. And that's why, I was like, Cait, y'all understand. Cait's one of those singers that I would never want to go up against, because it's like, you can't do anything. You just can't do anything. Right. Because they have this other gear that, this blessing of a gear that not a lot of people have.
Absolutely.
Even the best singers don't have this gear. Yeah. Whitney Houston had that gear. Mm-hmm. Celine Dion had that gear. Mariah Carey has that gear. I'm talking about the best, y'all. Right. And that's Cait. Seriously, I that Over Now took me out. But then Allie's Over Now took me out too. Absolutely. Stephanie.
Absolutely. I could echo everything that you just said. I'm going to talk about two different things, though, while agreeing with everything that you talked about. When I first saw this pairing, I was a little nervous because of the differences in their voice. And I was a little afraid for Allie that she was going to feel the need to shout her way through this song in order to kind of make her point, to elevate her voice above Cait's and to show a different quality. And she didn't do that.
Mature
singing. She intensified her voice in the places where it needed it, and where the song lent itself for her to intensify her voice. But again, this was another masterclass in partnerships, because their voices are so different, and they made the point right off the bat. I wonder how intentional that was, to make the point right off the bat. We're going to sing in unison so that we sound like one voice, and so that you can understand that when we need to blend, we can blend. I thought that was really powerful to come out the gate saying we might be two different textured voice of artists, but we can come together and blend and listen to one another. And that proved its way through the whole rest of the song. Mm-hmm. The modulation at the back end of that song was
masterful modulation. We talked about this earlier.
Masterful. It was the cherry on top of this delicious sundae of a song. It was incredible. And they both rose to the occasion of their specific parts during that modulation, as well as their combined effort, their combined harmony during that part. This was a clinic. It was a clinic in partnership. It was a clinic in arrangement. It was a clinic in mature singing. It was phenomenal. Yeah. However, I have to say, I just did not like the song choice.
I was waiting for you to say it. I was like, she better say
it. But that is a personal preference of mine.
Sure.
The song I would have given them is EnVogue, Don't Let Go.
I'm about to throw this tissue box at you, Stephanie.
I would have given them that, because that song, I will link it in the show notes. That song has that rock for Allie. It has that R&B for Cait. It has the soft, and it has the build-up as well. I think that would have been the perfect song choice. What's it gonna be? Do you agree, James? Do you agree that would have been a good song choice? I think you might agree. If he's throwing things at me or wanting to throw things virtually at me through the screen, I think that he
Stephanie
agrees.
did not tell me in advance, because she knew I was going to be demonstrative with my reaction. Because Stephanie, oh my word. Perfect. Stephanie, I think you would have woken the kids up.
I would have woken the children.
You would have woken the babies up.
Oh yes, and scared my husband.
Right. You would have woken them up. If that guitar, if they would have started with that guitar, you'd have lost it.
Yes.
You'd have lost it. Yeah. That would have been fire.
Ladies, if you want to do an Instagram live or just record that for us, we would not. Yes, we would be all for it.
EnVogue's Don't Let Go. Wow. Yes. Your perfect song choice. All right. So, this breaks my heart. This breaks my heart, y'all. But I told Stephanie last night, I said, anyone, it's kind of like John last season, right? Anyone that Kelly loses, I'm going to be angry. Because that's how good her team is. This one broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Why, judges? Why? Who won?
Cait won.
Of course she did.
Cait won.
Congratulations, Cait.
Congratulations.
Allie, just know.
Allie.
I'd have broken that thing to get you on my team.
Yeah, me too.
I'd have broken that buzzer.
Absolutely.
Because I was telling Stephanie last night, I said, you can't let a voice like Allie's go.
Right.
Because number one, nobody sings like her on this season.
Right.
And number two, we need that female rocker voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to me, she had a voice strong enough to win it all. Absolutely. So this one hurts my heart. I know why Cait won. Cait, you're like, it's another level. It's not right. It's this gear that is just insane. Absolutely. But I have a feeling, give Allie the right song, she's got that gear too. Absolutely, for sure. Because I could hear it. I could hear it in her voice. Well, at least I can go back and play this one over and over again, Allie, because this is one I'm going to revisit a lot. This has been one of my favorite duets of the season so far, or battles of the season. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Absolutely. All right, who we got next?
Next up, we had Walker Wilson and Kason Lester from Team Blake, and they sang Three Doors Down, Here Without You. My jam.
It's, you know what? It's interesting. I never would have, didn't you pair these two up when you were thinking the pairings?
I might have.
I think you did.
I might have.
But I never really realized how much, they don't look alike, but they favor each other. It's kind of
weird. Yeah.
And everyone kept saying, oh, it's like the same person. You know, I call this the battle of the grit. This is battle of the grit. Because both of them have grit to their voice. To me, I think that Walker's grit is just next level. Because to me, the thing I loved about Kason is Kason had more of a rawness, less trained, and Kason, by that I mean it's a very good, like, I love it. There's a rawness to your voice, an untouched,
very authentic
part of your voice that has not been trained, and I love it. Like, it's a natural. Kason, you have a natural singing gift. I thought that Walker's grit, and grit mixed with his tone is what, in my opinion, gave him a slight edge over Kason. And I thought, Kason, I loved what you did. I love the choices that you made. I thought that maybe you could have pulled a little bit back on the grit, Kason. A little bit less gravelly, because I think it hurt a little bit with your pitch. And I felt like that there were pitch issues a little bit. And I I wanted to hear more of your voice because you have a beautiful voice, Kason.
Right.
Like
right.
I wanted to hear, like, and I think you did it with the Daughtry last week. Like I got to hear more of the voice, so that's what maybe I was expecting more of. That sound. So I wanted to hear a little bit more of your voice rather than the growl and the grit.
Right.
Because to me it started to sound a little forced, a little too intentional, if that makes sense. Walker, dude, like I just love your whole disposition. Like you're like, I'm in Nashville, you know, I'm a little bodyguard, but I'm a bouncer, and I sing pretty well too, you know.
Yeah.
and dude, you do like it.
Yeah, you do.
This first of all, this is a hard song. It is
a hard song.
This is not an easy song to sing well, and I thought they both sang it very well. I love the arrangement of it.
Oh yeah,
as well. It was a great arrangement. I just thought that Walker had the edge because the grit in Walker's voice, if this makes sense, Stephanie, the grit in Walker's voice is a little bit more his voice. I think Kason has to produce the grit a little bit more. I just think like that is Walker's voice. So it sounded a little bit more natural, if that makes sense. What do you say?
Sure. Number one, I just loved both of them on stage and how they were supporting each other through the performance. I was looking on Instagram yesterday, and Kason posted something saying that during the auditions, he almost did not audition because he got very, very ill. And the only reason why he did is he asked God for a sign. And in the doctor's office or the room that he was in, there was something hanging up on the wall that said, Daughtry, it's not over. And that's the song he was planning on singing. So that's what encouraged him to continue on with the audition. Now, most of us now are probably of the understanding, because we know that these are recorded, that the audition and then the battle rounds were probably done within the same amount of time in very short order. So it is very possible that Kason still might have been struggling with whatever illness he was dealing with during these battle rounds. The thing that makes me kind of suspect that is because, and this might just be who Walker is, which I love, but there were multiple times during the audition where I felt like Walker was supporting Kason. He verbally said, you know, let's go, something like that. He kind of pointed at him at one point when it was Kason's turn to sing. And I felt like he was really boosting him up during that performance, which I thought was really lovely. If it is true that Kason was still not 100% during this performance.
Right.
I thought that this was a great song choice for both of their voices, even though they both have that country grit, and this is a rock song. So I thought that was an interesting choice on Blake's part. But I think that it was a really good choice, and that might just be me because I love this song.
It's a great song.
They both have a really great tone to their voice, but it did feel like Walker was just a little bit more comfortable on stage for this battle than Kason was. But I think they both gave it their all, and I love the fight that they both approached this performance with.
Yeah, that's great. So who did they wind up choosing?
Blake ended up choosing Walker.
Yeah, I agree with Blake. Walker is I put him in the dark horse category.
Yeah, he might sneak up.
He you know how they love the country singers and they love Blake's.
Yes.
This is Blake's last season.
Yes,
I put Walker in that dark horse, like because he's very unassuming, like he's very like oh, there's Walker, not
Very,
like
very humble.
Walker's.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah, he's not trying to be the center of attention.
Mm-mm.
Just very much seems like his own person,
Yeah.
and just very
But
humble.
Walker's one of those guys where you're standing up front and you hear this voice coming from behind you, hollering, singing the song, and you're like,
Yes.
who was that?
Right. Right.
Guy behind you, just regular guy, just singing his face off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good job. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so who is our final performance of the night? Woo, 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 woo.
Our final performance was our sneak peek from last Friday. It was from Coach Chance. We have Manasseh Simone versus Sorelle, and they sang Someone Like You by Adele. Hallelujah.
Looking on the paper, I would have been like, Chance, why did you set these young women up for failure by giving them an Adele song? Because we all know that Adele is one of those artists that you rarely want to touch.
That's right.
On singing competitions, because
that's right.
It's difficult singing. Before we get into Manasseh and Sorelle, shout out to Chance, Coach Chance.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Chance the Rapper, as an artist, but I've heard over the years how incredible of a producer / arranger he is. And to see the genius, to see his genius at work, it was like the first time I saw Charlie Puth work, right?
Right.
Like, I'm just like, wow. Mm-hmm. Like, it was amazing to watch Chance arrange this song.
Yeah.
The thing that I love what Chance did is Chance immediately honed in on the strengths of the sister Sorelle and Manasseh. And he accented both of their strengths.
Yes.
To the umpteenth power.
Yes.
And Chance, it was like Chance presented, he's like, here's my, it was almost as if Chance was like, I present to you my showcase. Mm-hmm. And you're like, who do you choose?
Right.
This performance was so... Stephanie, was this the one that I said it was so PhD? It was such a high musical skill level. Right. And I'm just embracing looking at my mic. When I get serious, I've noticed when I get serious in this episode, I look at my mic. Y'all are going to see that through the entire episode. I'm just convinced of it.
James is really saying something when he's looking into his mic. It was such
at a different skill level than every performance of the rest of the night. There's how Stephanie, you always say, James, I have no notes. I truly have no notes. This was perfection at battling. This was perfection at arranging. It was perfection. It was sung at a perfect level.
Yeah.
This was a dirty knife fight that was so good that neither of them survived, meaning they both won, if that makes sense. Neither of them survived the dirty knife fight. They were both mortally wounded because it was so intricately arranged with Sorelle's harmony was so tight.
Yeah.
But you have Manasseh's operatic tidal wave of a voice, and you would have never. Here's another like Cait and Allie. You would have never put Sorelle and Manasseh together.
No.
So for Chance to even hear that, is insane.
Right,
is insanely incredible. But it was like a perfect weaved performance.
That's what I was doing this the whole my sixth time listening, I was just like, wow, this is what we're doing.
Stephanie,
And we're doing something with our hands. We're
Stephanie,
waving our hands in a way for those of you listening.
It was so succinct.
Yeah.
That they were finishing each other's lines. If you go back and listen, it was like there was no beginning and no end. Like Manasseh started it out, and I was like, okay, this is going to be good. But then it just, like, it was just interwoven. Interwoven
Thank you.
Is the word is the only word I can think of. But it was so tightly interwoven.
It was tight.
It was like...
It was tight.
And I, like, Stephanie, I'm still trying to figure out, how did Sorelle hear? How did those young women hear those harmonies? But it goes back to the what would I do? Like, it goes back to, like, their ears are that trained.
Their
Ladies,
ears are trained, and they're trained.
Are that trained.
Yes.
It is impossible for the naked ear to pick up what you all do.
Right.
Even like composers are going to study y'all's vocals.
Right.
Like,
right.
Seriously. Like,
so intricate.
I can see people, I can see a really cool music theory teacher in university, at college, bringing their performances into harmony class.
Yes.
And saying, okay, let's analyze what these young ladies have done.
1,000%.
It's PhD.
1,000%. Yeah.
But I've already given you all that note. But Manasseh, sis, as someone who has an operatic background myself, like, seriously, like, that run that you did, Manasseh, the one where you put Kelly Clarkson on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kelly Clarkson doesn't just stand up for runs. She stands up for runs that go straight through you.
Yes.
And Manasseh, the joy.
Ooh.
The joy of singing. Every singer wants that joy.
Yeah.
Because, like they said, it's what you were doing when you weren't singing, which stood out. There was just so much joy, Manasseh. Like, and that, to me, it gets me pretty emotional.
I was gonna say, I could sit here and cry again.
It gets me pretty emotional because you don't see that joy on a lot of... Singing is so introspective. Singing is so self-critical. Singing is so difficult. But to see just the joy that you get, I can see, Manasseh, that singing is your therapy.
Yes.
And your voice heals. Like, it really does.
Yes.
Because you gave me and Stephanie joy.
Yes.
With your performance.
Yes.
And your encouragement of Sister Sorelle. Like,
yes.
And Sorelle, your encouragement of Manasseh.
Yes.
The camaraderie of the performance. Yes. No one, in my opinion, of the entire night was as connected as all of you ladies were.
Yeah.
And you could just feel and see the love, and it just came straight through the TV. And I know I've been talking, but Stephanie,
that's all right.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say, because I know you've had a minute to really think about this performance.
Yeah.
Because it's been out since last Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to move quickly. Sorelle, you are truly one voice. The nuances of the harmonies that you were doing were absolutely insane. And it just speaks to your professionalism. It speaks to your work ethic. It speaks to how seriously and how much you love music. Mm-hmm. And it's just... it was incredible. Again, like the last performance you did, you all just weren't singing in 3-part harmony. At one point, one person would sing, the other two would sing the backing harmony, and then you come back together. The interweaving of your vocal in your own part, but also along with Manasseh, was clinic. Like, it absolutely incredible. Manasseh. My word, the richness of the lows, the dynamics you were giving, the runs you were doing, how perfectly executed they were. And just your presence on the stage. You lit up the stage. You truly did. All four of you lit up the stage. And the arrangement was bananas. Come through, Coach Chance. The arrangement was bananas. Even more, for how tight the entire arrangement was, lets me know how connected all four of you were as you were doing this process. And that made my heart so happy, because I think this was probably the most difficult of duets to do, the most difficult of battles, because you have a trio of three sisters who have been singing and honing their craft for years as an already established group. And then you have Manasseh. To bring her into the fold, Sorelle, which is what I know you did. Mm-hmm. And for Manasseh, for you to come into the fold with all that you bring, mm-hmm. and your personality and your presence and your giftedness and your talents, and for all of you to come together and produce what you produced. May we all look at the way that you ladies work together and use that as an example of how we can all work together to either to produce a product as gorgeous as yours, or to just dialogue and build relationships and whatever. It was just so absolutely beautiful. And the result speaks for itself.
Stephanie and I jumped on a live. Was it this past weekend or was it Friday? It was Friday, right after it dropped. Sorelle and Manasseh did a live on Instagram, right, because they were so excited. Like, they didn't know. They don't tell the artist that they're going to be the sneak or the leak, as they call it, of the week. And just to see the love between Sorelle and Manasseh on that live, you can tell, like, to Stephanie's point, you can tell the collaboration was just done with such admiration and love for singing.
Yes.
And each other's talents.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Stephanie, we had a pretty dramatic ending to this first episode of the battles. Tell us what happened.
So, after much deliberation, Coach Chance chose Sorelle.
Smart.
And then as Manasseh was giving her thanks to Coach Chance, I forget whether it was a button push or what happened.
I think it was a button push.
It was a button. Oh, that's right, because he can't steal his own person.
Right,
so he pushed his button and gave Manasseh the playoff pass. So she is through. She does not have to do the knockout round. She is straight through to the next round, which is the playoff round.
Crazy. What a night. What a night, Stephanie.
I'm so glad that we get to see more of both of them, because they both deserve to go through.
There were a few quote unquote casualties, in my opinion, but I think pound for pound, it was a wonderful night. And I think the right people did go through.
Yes.
There was no one I was shocked that didn't make it.
Right.
Or that made it, that I think shouldn't have made it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, Stephanie, can't wait for tonight. Tonight is night 2 of the battles. So tell the Pitchy Podcast folks what they need to hear.
Sure. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, so you can be the first to know when we drop a new episode. And as you know, we are on YouTube now. Please search for the Pitchy Podcast and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop a new video. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Pitchy Podcast for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more.
All right. So until we see you all tomorrow, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Bye-bye.